I know a lot of us have experience with supporting people through end of life transitions, friends, family, parents, loved ones. As we get older, those that are close to us, siblings, parents especially, start to leave us, and it's common for us to go through these experiences. I went through one just the other day with my father-in-law, his daughter, my ex. We've not been together for many, many years, but he's the grandfather of my kids. We've stayed close, and I was able to be close by for the weeks leading up to a very peaceful departure, remarkably so. Grace and peace were in the air as he departed, and I was reminded how special an opportunity it is, as sad as it can be, as much as we can be racked with grief and everything that goes along with the sadness of losing a loved one. It is quite a magical experience as well, like birth is. And the departure from this realm and the entry into this realm are the portals that are glimpses into the magic that this entire universe and this reality is. We get a little mundane and a little stale in our minds and our concepts about this reality and how we choose to describe it and experience it. And often it's not very magical. We get kind of like used to this place and its rules and how it operates, and we don't interact with it in a magical way. But death is one of those windows where we can see the obvious magic mystery that goes along with a soul or some other sort of multi-dimensional beingness that infuses this experience, this avatar that we're in. Because when it departs and it's just a corpse and it's inert flesh there, you're so aware of the spark of life, the soul essence, however you want to call it, that animates this experience. And when it departs, it's obvious that something of that caliber of an essence has left. And so it's an opportunity to just embrace the magic of it all. I mess around in those realms a little bit myself, so I had my spidey senses on recently during this experience, and I had a connection with his higher self, like in the days before, as he was lying in bed and sleeping a lot and not eating and palliative care. And it was a gradual, steady decline into, him passing away the other day. And I had some moments where I caught glimpses of his expanded soulness. And that's something that we all have, I invite everyone to experience that for yourself, what the higher dimensions that we operate on simultaneously, how this human journey is just an expression of much higher dimensional energy. And it's not just the higher self, but we have friends and higher dimensional beings that are here with us on this journey. Some call them guides, some call them, spirit guides is a very common term, but we have friends and we are able to access while we're here. And who knows what it's like on the other side. That's something we don't really have a clear vision of while we're here. I liken it to scuba diving, where we've all dove down, got scuba gear on, and we're dove down far below the surface. And what goes on the surface, up breathing air and being back on the land, we don't know. We forget. We're all down here scuba diving and swimming around, and we think that's everything, but no, we go back up to the surface. Or we go somewhere else. Many stories are told by the mystics of this world that beings, when they depart, they often don't go that far away. It's not like they're zipped off somewhere, or it can be, who knows. But it's something to keep in mind that the departed person, their soul essence, their beingness isn't that far away all the time. That they're still close by, and some say people attend their own funerals, just from the other side, and they watch and they see it and they see the grief, and they're there. So keep that in mind. It's as an experiment as you go through this, are going through it. Many of us are going to go through this many more times before we're done. That to acknowledge that not just ourselves, but the person who's leaving is a multidimensional being and has access to levels of their beingness that are quite what we would call large. That's why, the term higher self is used, that they're higher, it's bigger, it's beyond just this humanness. And I had an experience with my father-in-law, and I just caught a glimpse of his higher self, and I caught a glimpse of the departure ceremony in a way of all his guides and friends, and he wasn't fazed by it, because up on the level of the higher self, we're not fazed by this human experience in the same way. One way you can look at it is that this is just an expression. I'm just an expression of my higher self. We're like the roller coaster ride, the higher self cooked up so it could just take it for a rip. It's lived many lives. All of our incarnations have been lived by this higher self being. So it's been through this before. Death from that level isn't as traumatic. It can still be very traumatic here when we're in our human self and we're attached to this identity and this experience, and we don't want to go. That's the programming, We try to stay alive as long as possible. We don't want to go, and it's traumatic and it's sad, and we don't want to leave this reality and the familiarity, and others don't want to let us go. But from the higher self point of view, it's not the experience. So it's something to keep in mind. That to me, it holds a little like gentleness in the heart space about what this experience is, and that on some level the person who's leaving is just fine with it. To me, I find it helpful before and afterwards, when there's sadness and loss and all those feelings that they can be quite sad. I lost my father a number of years ago. There's a lot of loss and grief and sadness that goes into that. But I had a friend who was a psychic who was in touch with my father after his parting. She said he was trying to get in touch with me, but I was a little thick at the time. I'm probably still a little thick. I'm not that wide open as somebody who is accomplished psychic intuitive, who are, some people are quite sensitive in that way and can pick up on these things like a lot easier. I catch the odd glimpse, and it takes a while for me to focus on those levels. But that my dad just wanted to kind of like hang out and wanted to make contact. So hung out with my friend and sent the messages to me, and that he was good and still thinking about us and still concerned about our journeys. And depending on what your beliefs are, I'm not going to stuff some beliefs down your throat, because we all have a lot of different ways we think about this place. But I encourage you all to kind of like, none of it's true, like absolute. It's liquid. This the expanded reality, the expanded levels upon which we live, not just in this reality, but beyond. Simultaneously, however you want to describe the multidimensional world, it's quite liquid and it's quite nebulous and can take many forms, often just depending on how you interact with it and how you choose to have the experiences. So it can be everything kind of going on at once. That's the paradox of reality. It is sometimes even seemingly opposite things going on at the same time. So as we go through this more and more, it's a reminder and an encouragement. I found it very rewarding to have the experience. Being present for a death is also quite a gift. As sad as traumatic sometimes as it can be, it's also sometimes presents the opportunity of a real gift. And I was lucky, I was blessed to just be with somebody who was, old and had been in a steady decline and drifted off with such peace and grace. And it was really a powerful thing. And to not let go of the magic that it is to be alive, the magic of being human, just in all forms. Not just to be alive in human form, but all of reality, the entire universe, all the layers of it, it's all magic. In that portal of death, the portal of birth, these are amazing opportunities for us to experience that. Namaste.